When a desperate woman grasps the hand of the city's most dangerous man, she doesn't know she's just signed a contract in blood. This is the story of Serena Vale, a single mother fighting to keep her son, and Damian Moretti, the mob boss Chicago fears. One pretense, one touch, and it all falls apart. Watch until the end, hit like, and comment the name of the city you're watching in so I know how far this story has come, because what you're about to witness will change forever. Rain didn't just fall on Chicago that November night. It attacked. Sheets of cold water hammered the neon-soaked pavement outside Bella Rosa Steakhouse, turning the sidewalks into rivers of reflected red and gold light. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of seared meat, expensive cologne, and the low hum of conversations that cost more than most people's rent. Serena Vale didn't belong here. She knew it. Everyone knew it. Her black uniform clung to her thin frame, wrinkled from a double shift that had started 14 hours ago. Her feet screamed inside worn-out sneakers held together with duct tape and prayers. Makeup, cheap foundation she'd applied in the staff bathroom, covered the yellow-green bruise spreading across her left cheekbone. The one Ethan had left 3 weeks ago, when she'd told him she was filing for full custody. She balanced a tray of drinks above her shoulder, weaving through tables packed with men in suits that probably cost more than her car. Her hands trembled, not from the weight, from exhaustion that lived in her bones now, the kind that sleep couldn't fix. Table 14. 2 martinis, 1 bourbon neat, 1 sparkling water. She forced a smile. Professional, empty. Here you go, gentlemen. Can I get you anything else? The older man barely looked up from his phone. We're fine. Serena nodded, turned, and nearly collided with Marcus, the floor manager. He grabbed her elbow hard enough to bruise. You're dragging, he hissed, his breath hot against her ear. Pick up the pace or I'll send you home without pay. I'm trying. Try harder. He shoved her towards the kitchen doors. Serena swallowed the words burning in her throat, the ones that would get her fired. She couldn't afford fired, not when the custody hearing was in 2 weeks, not when her lawyer had made it crystal clear, stable job, stable income, or Noah goes to Ethan. The thought of her son made her chest tighten. Noah, 5 years old, dark curls, gap-toothed smile. The only reason she was still standing. She pushed through the kitchen doors, deposited the empty tray, and pressed her palms against the cold stainless steel counter. Breathe. Just breathe. Serena, table 9 needs water, Carlos called from the grill station. She grabbed a pitcher and headed back out. The dining room had gotten louder. A group near the bar was celebrating something, champagne flowing, laughter cutting through the jazz piano playing in the corner. Serena filled water glasses at table 9, smiled at the couple who didn't acknowledge her existence, and turned toward the bar. That's when the front doors opened. The temperature in the room changed. Serena felt it before she saw him. Conversations didn't stop exactly, but they shifted. Quieter, careful, like everyone had suddenly remembered to watch their words. Damian Moretti stepped inside. He didn't rush, didn't need to. The rain had soaked his shoulders, dark spots spreading across his charcoal suit, but somehow it looked intentional. Expensive. His salt and pepper hair was slicked back, water dripping down his temples. His face was all hard angles, sharp jaw, straight nose, eyes so dark they looked black in the dim restaurant light. 2 men followed him, younger, thicker. They flanked him like shadows. Serena had seen him before. Everyone who worked at Bella Rosa had. Damian Moretti came in twice a month, always got the corner booth, always ordered the same thing, ribeye, rare, no sides. He tipped well, never spoke to staff beyond necessary words. And everyone, from the owner down to the dishwashers, treated him like something fragile and dangerous. She'd heard the rumors. Everyone had. About the warehouses on the south side. The cash-only businesses that never seemed to close. The way certain people disappeared after crossing him. Serena didn't care about rumors. She cared about tips and getting home before midnight. She turned back toward the kitchen. Then she saw him. Ethan. Her ex-husband sat at a table near the window, his arm draped around a woman Serena had never seen before. Blonde, young, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Serena's monthly rent. The engagement ring on her finger caught the light like a weapon. Serena's stomach dropped. No. Not here. Not tonight. Ethan hadn't seen her yet. He was laughing, leaning in to kiss the woman's neck. his hand sliding up her thigh under the table. The same hands that had shoved Serena into a wall 6 months ago. The same hands that had emptied their joint bank account and disappeared for 3 weeks before filing for divorce. Panic crawled up Serena's throat. She couldn't let him see her like this, working, struggling, desperate. He'd use it against her in court. Proof she couldn't provide stability. Proof Noah deserved better. Serena's vision tunneled. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She had to move, had to hide, had to... Her body acted before her brain caught up. The bar was closest. A dozen people sat on stools, nursing drinks, lost in their own worlds. Serena slipped between 2 occupied seats and did something she'd never done before. She grabbed a stranger's hand. The man turned. Damian Moretti looked at her with eyes that could cut glass. Serena's breath stopped. Up close, he was worse. Scars traced his knuckles. A thin white line ran from his eyebrow to his hairline. His cologne smelled like leather and smoke. And when he looked at her, really looked, she felt like he could see every bruise, every unpaid bill, every sleepless night. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please, just for a second. Please." She expected him to pull away, to snap at her, to call security. He didn't. Damian's eyes flicked past her, scanning the dining room. He saw Ethan. Then his gaze returned to her face, lingering on the makeup that didn't quite hide the bruise. Something shifted in his expression. Not sympathy. Something colder, sharper. He turned his hand over and closed his fingers around hers. "Sit," he said quietly. It wasn't a suggestion. Serena slid onto the bar stool beside him, her pulse racing so fast she thought she might pass out. Damian's hand was warm, calloused, strong enough to break her wrist without effort, but his grip stayed gentle. One of his men stepped closer. "Boss?" Damian didn't look at him. "Give us a minute." The man disappeared. Serena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her entire body felt like it was vibrating. "Who is he?" Damian asked. "What?" "The man you're hiding from." Serena's throat closed. I'm not... Don't lie to me." It wasn't a threat, just a fact. She swallowed hard. "My ex-husband." Damian nodded slowly. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "Once. Deliberate. He hit you." It wasn't a question. Serena's eyes burned. She blinked hard, forcing the tears back. "It's complicated." "No," Damian said. "It's not." He reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone, tapped the screen twice, held it to his ear. "Marco, table near the front window. Man with a blonde. Make sure he sees me." He ended the call. Serena's heart slammed against her ribs. "What are you... He won't bother you tonight. You don't understand. He'll... Look at me." She did. Damian's eyes were unflinching. "He won't bother you tonight," he repeated. "Or any other night. Understood?" Serena should have been terrified, should have pulled her hand away and run. But for the first time in 6 months, she felt something other than fear. She felt safe. And that scared her more than anything. Across the room, one of Damian's men approached Ethan's table, leaned down, said something quiet. Ethan's face went white. He glanced toward the bar, saw Damian, and immediately stood up, grabbed his fiancée's hand. They left without paying, just like that, gone. Serena stared at the empty table, her mind struggling to process what just happened. "You should get back to work," Damian said, releasing her hand. The absence of his touch felt like cold water. Serena stood on shaking legs. "Thank you." He didn't respond, just picked up the whiskey glass in front of him and took a slow sip. She walked away before she could say something stupid. The rest of the shift blurred. Serena moved through the motions, taking orders, delivering food, clearing plates. But her mind stayed locked on that moment at the bar. Damian's hand, his voice, the way Ethan had practically run out the door. By midnight, the restaurant was empty, except for staff closing down. Serena changed out of her uniform in the bathroom, pulled on her jacket, and stepped into the alley behind the building. Rain still fell, lighter now, cold. She pulled out her phone, 3 missed calls from the babysitter. Her stomach dropped. She called back. It rang twice. "Hello? Mrs. Chen, I'm so sorry, I just got off. Is Noah... He's fine, sweetie, just kept asking when you'd be home." Serena's chest ached. Tell him I'm coming, 20 minutes. She ended the call and started walking toward the bus stop. Miss Vale. Serena spun around. One of Damien's men stood at the mouth of the alley, the same one who'd approached Ethan's table. Mr. Moretti sent his car to take you home. Serena shook her head. I'm fine. I can take the bus. It's late. I always take the bus. The man stepped closer. Not threatening, just persistent. Mr. Moretti insists. A black sedan pulled up to the curb, rain beaded on the hood. Serena looked at the bus stop 2 blocks away, looked at the car. She was so tired. Okay, she whispered. The man opened the back door. Serena climbed in. The interior smelled like leather and something expensive she couldn't name. The seats were heated. She sank into the warmth and closed her eyes. The driver didn't ask for directions. He already knew. That should have terrified her. It didn't. 15 minutes later, the car stopped in front of her building. A 3-story walk-up in a neighborhood where sirens were the soundtrack. Graffiti covered the entrance. 2 of the streetlights were broken. Serena climbed out. Thank you. The driver nodded. She watched the sedan disappear around the corner, then trudged up the stairs to the 2nd floor. Her apartment was at the end of the hall. She unlocked the door, stepped inside, and found Mrs. Chen asleep on the couch. Noah was curled up beside her, still in his pajamas, his stuffed elephant tucked under his chin. Serena's chest tightened. She gently shook Mrs. Chen awake. I'm home. The older woman blinked. Oh, sweetie, you look exhausted. I'm okay. Serena handed her 2 crumpled 20s. Thank you? Really? Mrs. Chen took the money and squeezed Serena's hand. That boy loves you. Don't forget that. After she left, Serena locked the door, carried Noah to his bed, and tucked him in. She kissed his forehead, breathed in the smell of his shampoo, and whispered, I love you. He didn't wake up. Serena walked to the kitchen. The sink was piled with dishes. The fridge was almost empty. Bills covered the counter, red stamps on half of them. She sat down at the table and put her head in her hands. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She opened the message. You're safe now. D. Serena stared at the screen until it went dark. Then she started crying. Not from fear, not from exhaustion, from the terrifying relief of not being alone anymore, even if the person protecting her was the most dangerous man in Chicago. Much. The next morning, sunlight crept through the broken blinds in Noah's room. Serena woke up on the floor beside his bed, her back screaming from sleeping on hardwood. She'd fallen asleep watching him breathe, making sure he was real. She checked her phone. 6:47 a.m. No new messages. She told herself she wasn't disappointed. Noah stirred, his eyes blinking open. When he saw her, his face lit up. Mama! Good morning, baby. Can we have pancakes? Serena's heart squeezed. They couldn't afford pancakes, but she nodded anyway. Sure. She made them from scratch. Flour, water, a little sugar, no eggs, no milk. Noah didn't seem to notice. He ate them with maple syrup she'd watered down to make it last longer and told her about the dream he'd had about dinosaurs. Serena smiled, listened, pretended everything was fine. At 8:30, she walked him to the bus stop for school. He held her hand the whole way, talking about his friend Marcus and the art project they were working on. When the bus arrived, he kissed her cheek and climbed aboard. Serena watched until the bus disappeared. Then she walked back to the apartment and called her lawyer. Law Offices of Patricia Nguyen. Hi, it's Serena Vale. Is Patricia available? A pause. One moment. The hold music was classical. Serena paced the kitchen, her stomach in knots. Serena. Patricia's voice was warm but cautious. How are you holding up? I'm fine. I wanted to check on the hearing, make sure everything's still on track. It is. 2 weeks from Monday. But Serena, I need to be honest with you. Ethan's lawyer is building a strong case. They're going to argue that you're financially unstable, that your living situation isn't appropriate for a child, that, I have a job that pays minimum wage, and you're 3 months behind on rent. Serena's throat tightened. I'm working on that. I know you are, but the court looks at facts, and right now the facts aren't in your favor. Silence. What do I do? Serena whispered. Keep working, keep showing up, and pray the judge sees what I see. a mother who would do anything for her son. After the call ended, Serena sat on the couch and stared at the wall. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Meet me tonight, Bella Rosa, 8 p.m. Come alone. Serena's pulse spiked. She should ignore it, should delete the message, and pretend last night never happened. Instead, she texted back, "Why?" The response came immediately. "Because you need help, and I can give it." Serena stared at the screen. She thought about Noah, about the custody hearing, about Ethan's smug face and the lawyer who was going to tear her apart. She thought about the way Damien's hand had felt around hers. Safe. Dangerous. Both. She typed one word. "Okay." That night, Serena stood outside Bella Rosa at 7:55 p.m., her heart hammering in her chest. She'd borrowed a dress from Mrs. Chen, dark blue, simple, a little too big. She'd done her makeup carefully, covering the bruise that had faded to a dull yellow. The rain had stopped. The streets were slick and shining under the glow of neon signs. She took a breath and walked inside. The hostess recognized her immediately. "Miss Vale, Mr. Moretti is expecting you." Serena followed her through the dining room to the corner booth. Damien sat alone, his suit jacket draped over the back of the seat, his shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms marked with faint scars. He stood when she approached. "Sit," he said quietly. Serena slid into the booth. Her hands were shaking. She folded them in her lap. Damien poured her a glass of red wine from the bottle on the table. "You don't have to be nervous." "I'm not nervous." "You're terrified." She looked up, met his eyes. He was right. "Why am I here?" she asked. Damien leaned back, studying her. "You're in trouble." "I can handle it." "No, you can't." Serena's jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about me." "I know your ex-husband is trying to take your son. I know you're 3 months behind on rent. I know you work 60-hour weeks and still can't afford groceries. I know you're one bad day away from losing everything." Her breath hitched. "How do you—" "Because I pay attention." Silence stretched between them. "What do you want?" Serena whispered. Damien's expression didn't change. "I want to help you." "Why?" "Because I can." That's not an answer. His jaw tightened. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something raw and human and gone too fast to name. "You grabbed my hand," he said quietly. "No one touches me unless I let them, but you did. And you didn't ask for permission, you just trusted me." Serena's chest ached. "I was desperate." "I know." "So what? You feel sorry for me?" "No." Damien leaned forward, his voice dropping. "I respect you. You're drowning, and you're still fighting. That takes strength most people don't have." Tears burned behind Serena's eyes. She blinked them back. "I don't need your pity." "Good, because I'm not offering it." "Then what are you offering?" Damien reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope, set it on the table between them. Serena stared at it. "What is that?" "Enough money to pay your rent, your lawyer, whatever else you need to win that custody hearing." Her stomach dropped. "I can't." "You can." "Why would you do this?" Damien's eyes locked on hers. "Because when I protect someone, I don't do it halfway." Serena's hands trembled. She looked at the envelope, at Damien, at the impossible choice sitting in front of her. "What do you want in return?" she asked quietly. "Nothing." "I don't believe you." Damien's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Smart." "Tell me the truth." He was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "I want you to trust me. That's all." "Trust you," Serena repeated. "A man I don't even know." "Yes." "A man everyone is afraid of." "Yes." "A man who—" Her voice broke. "A man who probably does terrible things." Damien didn't flinch. "Yes." Serena's throat closed. She should leave, should walk out of this restaurant and never look back. But she thought about Noah, about the custody hearing, about Ethan's lawyer tearing her apart while she sat there powerless. She reached across the table and picked up the envelope. Damien's eyes never left hers. "This doesn't mean I trust you," Serena said quietly. "I know." It just means I'm out of options. I know that too. She stood up, tucked the envelope into her purse. Damien stood with her. My driver will take you home. I can... Serena. She stopped. Let me take care of you, he said quietly. Just for a while. Until you're strong enough to do it yourself. Something in his voice made her chest tighten. She nodded and walked out of the restaurant before she could change her mind. But outside, standing in the cold night air, Serena realized something that made her blood run cold. She'd just accepted help from a man who owned half the city's underworld, and somewhere deep in her gut, she knew the truth. This wasn't charity, it was a contract, and she'd just signed her name in invisible ink. The envelope sat on Serena's kitchen counter for 3 days before she opened it. She'd come home that first night, tucked Noah into bed, and stared at the thick paper like it might explode. Mrs. Chen had already left. The apartment was silent except for the radiator clanking in the corner and the muffled argument happening upstairs. Serena had paced, made tea she didn't drink, checked on Noah twice. Then she'd hidden the envelope in the back of her underwear drawer and tried to sleep. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Damien's face, the way he'd looked at her across that table. Not like she was broken, like she was worth something. That scared her more than anything else, because men who looked at you like that always wanted something back. By the third day, the electricity bill arrived with a final notice stamp. Red letters. 72 hours until disconnect. Serena pulled out the envelope. Inside were 50 $100 bills, crisp, new, bound with a paper band. $5,000. Her hand shook so badly she almost dropped it. There was a note, too. Handwritten, black ink on cream cardstock. For rent, bills, and the lawyer. No strings. Call me when you're ready. D. A phone number was written below. Serena sat on the floor and cried until her ribs ached. Then she dried her face, walked to the bank, and deposited the money. That afternoon, she paid 3 months of back rent, paid the electric bill, bought groceries, real groceries, the kind Noah deserved, called her lawyer and wired a retainer that covered the custody hearing. By sunset, she was exhausted and terrified, and something else she couldn't name. Free, maybe. Or trapped. She wasn't sure which. 4 days later, Damien's driver showed up at her apartment. Serena was getting ready for her evening shift when the knock came. She opened the door with Noah balanced on her hip, his dinosaur backpack dragging on the floor. The man from the alley stood there, tall, broad-shouldered, expressionless. Miss Vale, Mr. Moretti requests your presence. Serena's stomach dropped. I'm working tonight. He's already spoken to your manager. You've been given the evening off. I can't afford... You'll be compensated. Noah squirmed in her arms. Mama, who's that? A friend, baby. She set him down. Go get your shoes on. After Noah disappeared into his room, Serena lowered her voice. I didn't call him. He knows. Then why? He wants to see you. It wasn't a request. Serena's jaw tightened. I have a son. I can't just bring him. She blinked. What? Mr. Moretti said to bring your son. He's arranged for childcare. Serena's pulse hammered in her throat. Every instinct screamed at her to slam the door, to tell this man to leave and never come back. But she thought about the money sitting in her bank account, about the lawyer who'd called yesterday to say they actually had a shot now. She thought about Damien's note, no strings, liar. Give me 10 minutes, she said quietly. The man nodded and stepped back into the hallway. Serena closed the door, pressed her forehead against it, and tried to breathe. The car took them to a building on the north side. Not a restaurant, not an office. A penthouse overlooking the lake, all glass and steel and money Serena couldn't even calculate. The driver escorted them through a private entrance, past security that didn't ask questions, and into an elevator that required a key card. Noah pressed his face against the glass, watching the city shrink below. Mama, are we going to the clouds? Something like that. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Serena stepped out and forgot how to breathe. The space was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan, the water black and endless under the night sky. The furniture was modern, expensive, untouched. Everything was white or gray or sharp. And standing in the kitchen, wearing jeans and a black Henley with the sleeves pushed up, was Damien Moretti. He looked different, softer somehow, more human. He was cooking. Serena stared. Damien glanced up, saw them, and turned off the stove. "You came. Did I have a choice?" His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "No." Noah peeked out from behind Serena's leg. "Who are you?" Damien crouched down, eye level with him. "I'm Damien. You must be Noah." Noah nodded slowly. "Do you live in the clouds?" "Sometimes it feels that way." "That's so cool." Damien's expression softened. He stood and gestured toward a hallway. "There's someone I want you to meet, Noah. Her name is Rosa. She used to take care of my nephew when he was your age. She's got games, movies, whatever you want." Noah looked up at Serena. "Can I, Mama?" She wanted to say no, wanted to grab his hand and run. But Damien's eyes met hers, and she saw something there. Not a threat, a promise. "Okay," she whispered, "but I'm right here. If you need me, you yell." "I will." A woman appeared from the hallway. Older. Warm smile. She took Noah's hand and led him toward a room filled with toys Serena could see through the open doorway. Then it was just her and Damien. Silence stretched between them. "You didn't call," Damien said finally. "I didn't know what to say." "Think you would have worked." Serena's jaw tightened. "Thank you? You're angry." "I'm confused." Damien turned back to the stove. "Are you hungry?" "What?" "I made carbonara. It's too much for one person." Serena stared at him. At this man who supposedly controlled half of Chicago's underworld, standing in his kitchen making pasta like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Why am I here?" she asked. "Because I wanted to see you." "That's not an answer." Damien plated the pasta, 2 servings, set them on the island, pulled out a stool for her. "Sit." "I don't—" "Serena, sit." She sat. Damien slid a plate in front of her. The smell hit her immediately. Rich, perfect. Her stomach growled. He sat across from her, watching. "Eat," he said quietly. She picked up the fork, took a bite. It was the best thing she'd tasted in months. She didn't realize she was crying until Damien handed her a napkin. "I'm sorry," she whispered, wiping her eyes. I don't usually... When's the last time someone cooked for you?" Serena's throat closed. "I don't remember." Damien nodded slowly. "Then eat. We'll talk after." They ate in silence. Serena finished every bite, her body starving for something other than survival. When she was done, Damien cleared the plates and poured 2 glasses of wine. He handed her one. "I need to know something," he said. "What?" "Why did you take the money?" Serena's fingers tightened around the glass. "You know why." "I want to hear you say it." She met his eyes. "Because I'm desperate. Because my son deserves better than what I can give him. Because I'm tired of losing." "And you think I'm going to make you lose something else?" It wasn't a question. Serena's pulse quickened. "Aren't you?" Damien leaned against the counter, studying her. "What do you think I want from you?" "I don't know." "Guess." Her breath hitched. "You want me to owe you, to be in your debt so I can't say no when you ask for something. What would I ask for?" "I don't know. Information, loyalty. Something I'll regret." Damien's jaw tightened. "You think I'm going to hurt you." "I think everyone hurts me eventually." The words hung in the air between them. Damien set down his wine glass, walked around the island, stopped in front of her. He didn't touch her, just stood close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. "I'm not your ex-husband," he said quietly. "I know." "Then why are you looking at me like I'm going to hit you?" Serena's eyes burned. "Because men like you don't help people without wanting something back." "Men like me?" "Dangerous men, powerful men, men who—" Her voice broke. "Men who could destroy me if they wanted to." Damien's expression darkened. "Is that what you think?" "It's what I know." He was silent for a long moment. Then he reached out, slowly, deliberately, and cupped her face in his hand. His palm was warm, calloused, gentle. "I could destroy you." he said softly. You're right about that, but I won't. Because the only thing I want from you, Serena, is for you to stop looking over your shoulder every 5 seconds. Her breath shook. Why do you care? Because someone should. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Damien wiped them away with his thumb. I'm not asking you to trust me. Not yet. I'm just asking you to let me help. That's all. For how long? Until you don't need me anymore. And then what? His thumb traced her cheekbone. Then you walk away. No strings. No debt. Nothing. Serena wanted to believe him. Wanted it so badly her chest ached. But she'd learned the hard way that promises were just words. I should go, she whispered. Damien's hand dropped. Okay. She stood, her legs shaking. Thank you. For dinner. For everything. Serena. She stopped. Take my number. I have it. Use it when you're ready. She nodded and walked toward the hallway where Noah's laughter echoed from the playroom. But before she reached the door, Damien's voice stopped her again. One more thing. She turned. His eyes were darker now, harder. Your ex-husband, he's not going to bother you anymore. Serena's stomach dropped. What did you do? Nothing permanent, just made sure he understands the consequences of coming near you or your son. Damien, he put his hands on you. That doesn't get forgiven. Her pulse hammered. You can't just... It's already done. Fear and relief crashed through her in equal measure. I didn't ask you to... I know. Damien stepped closer. But I'm not asking for permission, Serena. Not about this. She should have been angry, should have told him he had no right, but all she felt was the terrifying weight of being protected by someone who could burn the world down if he wanted to. I need to go, she said again. This time, he let her. Over the next 2 weeks, Damien's presence became impossible to ignore. He didn't call, didn't text, but his shadow was everywhere. The landlord who'd been threatening eviction suddenly accepted late payment without penalty. A man Serena had never seen before showed up at her door with groceries every 3 days. Her car, dead for 2 months, was towed away and returned the next day, fully repaired. And Ethan disappeared completely. No calls, no texts, no showing up drunk outside her building. Gone. Serena knew she should be grateful. Instead, she was terrified. Because this wasn't help. This was control. And the worst part? She was starting to like it. The morning of the custody hearing, Serena woke up at 5 a.m. She couldn't sleep, could barely breathe. She dressed carefully, simple black dress, heels she'd borrowed from Mrs. Chen, makeup applied with shaking hands. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. At 7, she dropped Noah off at school and took the bus downtown to the courthouse. Her lawyer met her on the steps. Patricia looked sharp in a gray suit, her briefcase bulging with documents. You ready? She asked. No. Good. That means you care. Patricia squeezed her shoulder. We've got this. They walked inside. The courtroom was cold, sterile. Ethan sat at the opposite table with his lawyer, a man in an expensive suit who looked like he ate people for breakfast. Ethan didn't look at her. Serena's hands trembled in her lap. The judge entered. Everyone stood. And the battle began. Ethan's lawyer came out swinging. He painted Serena as unstable, financially irresponsible, a woman who couldn't provide the life Noah deserved. Patricia fought back hard, presenting bank statements showing Serena's recent financial stability, letters from teachers praising her involvement in Noah's education, photos of Noah happy, healthy, loved. But Ethan's lawyer kept digging. Miss Vale, isn't it true you're currently 3 months behind on rent? Patricia stood. Objection. Miss Vale paid her rent in full 2 weeks ago. From what source? Serena's blood ran cold. Patricia hesitated. That's not relevant. It is if the money came from illegal activity. Objection, Patricia's voice sharpened. Baseless accusation. The judge frowned. Counselor, do you have evidence to support that claim? Ethan's lawyer smiled. We're working on it. Serena's pulse roared in her ears. The rest of the hearing blurred. Questions, answers, evidence, objections. Finally, the judge called a recess. Serena stumbled into the hallway, her chest tight. Patricia followed her. Breathe, just breathe. He knows, Serena whispered, about the money. He's fishing. He doesn't have proof. What if he finds out where it came from? Patricia's jaw tightened. Did it come from somewhere illegal? I don't know. Serena, I don't know. I didn't ask. Silence. Patricia took a breath. Okay, we'll deal with it if it comes up. Right now, focus on the next part. You're going to testify, tell the truth, show them you're a good mother. That's all that matters. Serena nodded, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. They went back inside. Serena took the stand. Ethan's lawyer circled her like a shark. Miss Vale, do you know a man named Damien Moretti? Her heart stopped. Objection, Patricia said immediately. Relevance? I'm establishing character, Your Honor. The judge nodded. I'll allow it. Answer the question, Miss Vale. Serena's mouth was dry. Yes. How do you know him? He's a customer. At the restaurant where I work. Just a customer? Yes. Have you ever been to his home? Serena's pulse hammered. Once? Why? He invited me for dinner. Did your son accompany you? Yes. So you brought your 5-year-old son to the home of a man with known criminal ties. Objection! Patricia was on her feet. Speculation. There's no evidence. Your Honor, Damien Moretti is currently under federal investigation for racketeering and money laundering. The courtroom went silent. Serena couldn't breathe. The judge looked at her. Miss Vale, is this true? I don't know anything about that. But you took money from him. Yes or no? Her throat closed. Yes. The judge's expression hardened. Ethan's lawyer smiled. No further questions. God. Serena lost. Not completely. The judge granted joint custody with Ethan getting Noah every other weekend. But it felt like losing. Because Ethan had won something, had taken a piece of her son, and it was Damien's fault. Serena walked out of the courthouse in a daze. Patricia tried to talk to her, but the words didn't stick. She took the bus home, sat on her couch, stared at nothing. At 6 p.m., her phone buzzed. I heard what happened. I'm sorry. D, rage exploded through her chest. She called the number he answered on the first ring. Serena, you destroyed me. Silence. They brought you up in court, she said, her voice shaking. They asked if I took money from you, if I brought my son to your home, and I had to say yes. I had to sit there and admit that I'm connected to a man under federal investigation. I didn't know they would. I don't care, she was shouting now. I don't care what you knew. You said no strings. You said I could walk away, but you lied, because now everyone thinks I'm some kind of criminal, some woman who sells herself to mobsters for money. That's not what happened. Then what did happen, Damien? Tell me, because from where I'm sitting, you used me. You made me dependent on you, and now I can't get away. That's not true. Then why does it feel like I'm drowning? Her voice cracked on the last word. Damien was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was rough. Where are you? Home. I'm coming over. No. Serena, I don't want to see you. I don't want your help. I don't want anything from you. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. She hung up. Then she turned off her phone, pulled Noah close when he got home from school, and tried to pretend her world wasn't falling apart. But at midnight, someone knocked on her door. Serena knew who it was before she opened it. Damien stood in the hallway, rain dripping from his hair. His shirt was soaked. His eyes were wild. You can't just shut me out, he said. Watch me. She tried to close the door. He caught it. Serena, please, go away. I can fix this. You can't fix anything. Her voice broke. You made it worse. Everything you touch turns into a disaster. I should have never... What? Never taken my help? Never let me protect you? Yes. Liar. She froze. Damien stepped closer, his voice dropping. You're scared. I get it. But don't pretend you regret letting me in, because I saw your face that night at the restaurant, when your ex walked out, when you finally felt safe. You needed me. I needed money, not you. His jaw tightened. Then why are you crying? She hadn't realized she was. Serena wiped her eyes furiously. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of... Her voice broke completely. I'm tired of losing. Damien's expression cracked. He pulled her into his arms. Serena tried to push him away, tried to hold on to her anger, but she couldn't. She collapsed against him, sobbing into his chest while he held her like she was the only thing keeping him standing. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm so sorry. You can't fix this. I can try. How? He pulled back, his hands framing her face. His eyes were darker than she'd ever seen them. By giving you everything. What does that mean? It means I'm not walking away. It means I'm going to make sure Ethan never hurts you again. It means I'm going to burn down anyone who tries to take Noah from you. And it means... His voice roughened. It means you're mine now, whether you like it or not. Serena's breath caught. That's not... I don't care. His thumb brushed her bottom lip. I tried to keep my distance, tried to let you have space, but I can't. Because every time I close my eyes, I see you. Every time my phone rings, I hope it's you. And every time someone threatens you, I want to kill them with my bare hands. Damien, I'm obsessed with you, Serena, and I don't know how to stop. Her heart slammed against her ribs. This was insane, dangerous, wrong. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw the same desperation she felt. I can't do this, she whispered. Yes, you can. I have a son. I have responsibilities. I can't just... Then let me carry them with you. You don't understand. I understand everything. His forehead pressed against hers. I understand you're terrified. I understand you think I'm going to hurt you, but I'm not. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to give you the life you deserve, and I'm going to make sure no one ever makes you feel small again. Tears streamed down her face. What if you're lying? Then you can destroy me. How? His hand slid to the back of her neck, his grip firm but gentle. Because if I lose you, Serena, I'll have nothing left worth protecting. And then he kissed her. It wasn't soft, wasn't careful. It was desperation and hunger and something that felt like drowning. Serena kissed him back, because she was tired of fighting, tired of being alone, tired of pretending she didn't want this. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Damien's eyes were black with want. Say yes, he whispered. To what? To me. To us. To letting me take care of you. Serena's chest ached. She thought about Noah, about the custody hearing, about everything that could go wrong. Then she thought about Damien's hands on her face, about feeling safe for the first time in years. Okay, she breathed. His grip tightened. Say it again. Okay, yes, The door to Noah's room opened. They both froze. Noah stood in the hallway, rubbing his eyes. Mama, who's here? Serena's heart stopped. Damien stepped back immediately, his expression shifting into something softer. Hey, buddy, he said quietly. Remember me? Noah blinked. Damien? That's right? Why are you here? Damien glanced at Serena, then crouched down to Noah's level. Because your mom needed help, and I wanted to make sure she was okay. Noah walked over, still half asleep. Is Mama sad? A little. Don't be sad, Mama. Noah wrapped his arms around Serena's legs. She picked him up, holding him tight. I'm okay, baby. Noah looked at Damien over her shoulder. Are you going to stay? Damien's eyes met Serena's. If your mom lets me, he said quietly. Serena's throat closed. She should say no. Should protect Noah from this. But when she looked at Damien, really looked, she saw something she hadn't expected. Hope. Just tonight, she whispered. Damien nodded. She carried Noah back to bed, tucked him in, and whispered promises she wasn't sure she could keep. When she came back out, Damien was still standing in the hallway. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For not making me leave. Serena's chest ached. You're sleeping on the couch. I know. She grabbed a blanket from the closet, and tossed it to him. Then she walked to her bedroom and closed the door. But she didn't lock it, because somewhere between rage and desperation, between fear and need, she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She'd let Damien Moretti into her life. And now she had no idea how to get him out, or if she even wanted to. The next morning, Serena woke to the smell of coffee and something sweet. She walked into the kitchen and stopped. Damien stood at the stove, flipping pancakes while Noah sat at the table, already dressed, swinging his legs and talking a mile a minute. And then the T-Rex eats the bad guy, but not in a scary way, in a cool way. "Sounds pretty cool," Damien said, sliding pancakes onto a plate. Noah grinned. "Do you like dinosaurs?" "I do now." Serena's throat tightened. Damien looked up, saw her, and something shifted in his expression. "Morning." "Morning." "I made breakfast. Hope that's okay." Noah bounced in his seat. "Mama, look, real pancakes!" Serena's eyes burned. She sat down at the table and took the plate Damien handed her. They ate together, the three of them. And for the first time in years, Serena's apartment felt like a home. But as she watched Damien laugh at Noah's stories, as she felt the warmth of something that looked dangerously like family, one thought echoed in her mind. This wasn't going to end well. Because men like Damien Moretti didn't get happy endings. They got blood. And she'd just invited him into the one place that mattered most. 3 weeks after Damien Moretti started showing up at her apartment like he belonged there, Serena's life became something she didn't recognize. The morning routine had shifted. Damien arrived before Noah woke up, let himself in with a key she'd given him after the 4th night he'd slept on her couch, and made breakfast while she got ready for work. He drove Noah to school in a car that cost more than her annual salary. He texted her throughout the day. Nothing romantic, just check-ins that felt like a tether she couldn't cut. And at night, after Noah was asleep, Damien stayed. They didn't sleep together. Not in that way. But he stayed on the couch, his presence filling the apartment like smoke, and Serena stopped pretending she wanted him gone. Because the truth was simpler and more terrifying than she'd expected. She was falling for him. Not the version of him that everyone feared. The real him. The man who remembered Noah liked his pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. Who fixed her broken cabinet without being asked. Who looked at her like she was something rare and breakable and worth protecting. But on a Tuesday morning in early December, everything shattered. Serena was at work, refilling coffee for the breakfast crowd, when her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She pulled it out, saw Patricia's name, and stepped into the supply closet. "Patricia?" "Serena." Her lawyer's voice was tight, wrong. "We need to talk, now." Serena's stomach dropped. "What happened?" "Ethan filed an emergency motion. He's claiming you're living with a known criminal and exposing Noah to dangerous environments." The floor tilted beneath her feet. I'm not living with anyone." "He has photos, Serena, of Damien entering your building at 6 a.m., of him driving Noah to school, of the three of you at a park last weekend." Ice flooded her veins. "He's been watching me?" "It looks that way. And it gets worse. The federal investigation into Damien Moretti just went public. Grand jury indictment, racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy. It's all over the news." Serena couldn't breathe. "The judge scheduled an emergency hearing for tomorrow morning," Patricia continued. "And Serena, I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't cut ties with Damien immediately, you're going to lose Noah, completely. Full custody to Ethan. Do you understand what I'm saying?" "Yes." "Then you need to make a choice, right now." Serena's hand shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. "Okay." "Okay what?" I'll handle it." "Serena," she hung up. For a long moment she just stood there in the dark closet, surrounded by boxes of napkins and industrial-sized cans of tomatoes, trying to remember how to breathe. Then she called Damien. He answered on the first ring. "What's wrong?" "Where are you?" "At the office. What happened?" "I need to see you, now." Silence. Then, "I'll send a car." "No, I'm coming to you." "Serena, where's your office?" He gave her an address downtown, a building she'd passed 1,000 times without knowing what happened inside. She told her manager she was sick, grabbed her coat, and took the bus. The building was glass and steel, anonymous and expensive. Security stopped her at the front desk. "I'm here to see Damian Moretti." The guard's expression didn't change. He picked up the phone, spoke quietly, then gestured toward the elevators. 23rd floor. Serena rode up alone, her reflection staring back at her from the polished doors. She looked small, terrified, young. The elevator opened into a reception area that screamed money. Marble floors, modern furniture. A receptionist who looked like she belonged on a runway. "Miss Vale? Mr. Moretti is expecting you." She led Serena down a hallway lined with closed doors. At the end, she knocked once and opened it. Damian's office was massive. Windows overlooking the city, dark wood furniture, leather chairs, a desk that looked like it cost more than Serena's car. Damian stood by the window, his back to the door. He wore a suit today, dark gray, perfectly tailored. He looked like a stranger. The receptionist left and closed the door. "You shouldn't be here," Damian said without turning around. "Why not?" "Because this place is being watched, by people you don't want noticing you. Too late for that." He turned. His expression was controlled, but she saw the tension in his jaw. "What happened?" "Ethan filed an emergency motion. He's trying to get full custody, because of you." Damian's eyes darkened. "What did he claim?" "That I'm exposing Noah to a known criminal, that you're dangerous, that I'm unfit." Her voice cracked. "And the worst part is he's right. He's not." "You're under federal indictment, Damian." Silence crashed between them. "You knew," she said quietly. "Yes." "When?" 3 months ago." The betrayal hit her like a fist to the chest. "You knew they were investigating you, and you still came into my life. You still—" She couldn't finish, couldn't breathe. Damian stepped toward her. "Serena, don't." She held up a hand. "Don't come near me." He stopped. "I trusted you," she whispered. "I let you into my home. I let you near my son. And the whole time you knew this was coming. You knew it would destroy me." "That's not what I wanted." "But it's what happened." Her voice echoed off the walls. Damian's jaw tightened. "I can fix this." "You can't fix anything. Don't you get it? Every time you try to help, you make it worse. I'm going to lose Noah because of you, my son, the only thing that matters, and it's your fault." "Then I'll talk to the judge. I'll explain." "Explain what? That you're not a criminal? Because from what I'm hearing, you are." His expression went cold. "You want the truth?" "Yes." "Fine." He walked to his desk, pulled out a folder, and tossed it toward her. It landed at her feet. "There's the truth. Every piece of it." Serena picked it up with shaking hands, opened it. Inside were documents, legal papers, financial records, photos. Her hands froze. The photos showed warehouses, shipping containers, men she didn't recognize. And at the center of every image was Damian. She flipped through them, her stomach twisting tighter with each page. Money laundering, extortion, illegal gambling, drug trafficking, all tied to him. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Yes, you do." She looked up. "You're a mobster." "I prefer businessman with flexible ethics." "This isn't a joke." "I'm not laughing." Serena's hands shook. "Who are you?" Damian leaned against his desk, his arms crossed. "Someone who grew up in the kind of neighborhood where you either became a cop or a criminal. I made my choice at 16, built an empire by 30, and now the feds want to tear it all down." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted you to look at me like a man, not a monster." Her throat closed. "But you are a monster." Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe, or rage. "If that's what you think, then leave." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I have to testify tomorrow. I have to stand in front of a judge and explain why my son shouldn't be taken away from me. And the only reason I'm in this position is because I was stupid enough to fall for you." The words hung in the air. Damian's expression didn't change. "You fell for me." "Don't. Say it again." "I didn't mean—" "Serena." He pushed off the desk, moving toward her. "Say it again." "Why? So you can use it against me too?" He stopped inches away. "I've never used you." "Then what do you call this?" "Protection." "It feels like a cage." His jaw tightened. "Then break out." "I can't." Because every time I try to walk away, you pull me back, and I let you, because I'm weak and desperate, and her voice cracked. And I don't know how to do this without you anymore. Damien's hand came up, cupping her face. You're not weak. Yes, I am. No. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. You're the strongest person I've ever met, and if letting me go is what it takes to keep Noah, then do it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't want to, but you will. How do you know? Because you're a good mother, and good mothers sacrifice everything. She closed her eyes, leaning into his hand. I hate you. I know. I hate that I need you. I know that too. And I hate that you're going to let me walk away. His forehead pressed against hers. I don't have a choice, because if I fight for you, I destroy you, and I can't do that. Serena's chest ached. What if I don't want you to let go? Then you're as selfish as I am. Maybe I am. His grip tightened. Serena. The door burst open. They both spun around. Two men in dark suits stepped inside. FBI. The badges on their belts made it obvious. Damien Moretti, the taller one said. You're under arrest. Serena's heart stopped. Damien didn't move, didn't flinch, just straightened slowly, his hand dropping from her face. For what? He asked calmly. Racketeering. Money laundering. Conspiracy to commit murder. Murder. The word echoed in Serena's skull. You have the right to remain silent. I know my rights. Damien's voice was ice. He looked at Serena. Go home. Damien, now. The agents moved forward. One pulled out handcuffs. Wait, Serena said. He didn't. Ma'am, step back. No, you don't understand. Serena, Damien's voice cut through her panic. Leave. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. They cuffed him. Right there in front of her, metal clicking around his wrists. Damien didn't resist, didn't fight, just let them take him like it was inevitable. Ma'am, the second agent said to Serena, we're going to need to ask you some questions. Her blood turned to ice. About what? Your relationship with Mr. Moretti. I don't have a relationship with him. The agent's expression said he didn't believe her. Then why are you here? She's leaving, Damien said. And you're not going to stop her, because she's not involved in any of this. That's not your decision. Damien's eyes went black. Touch her, and I'll make sure your careers end before lunch. The agent's jaw tightened, but he stepped back. Go, Damien said to Serena, before they changed their minds. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Serena, go! She ran, down the hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby, out onto the street where the cold air hit her like a slap. She ran until her lungs burned and her legs gave out, collapsing onto a bench 2 blocks away. And then she called Patricia. It's me. Serena, thank God, where are you? Downtown. They arrested him, the FBI. Her voice broke. They arrested Damien. I know, it's all over the news. Serena's stomach twisted. What do I do? You come to my office right now and you tell me everything, because if the feds think you're involved, I'm not involved. Then prove it. Serena ended the call and stared at her hands. They were shaking, had been shaking for an hour, maybe longer. She thought about Damien's face when they'd cuffed him, the way he'd looked at her, not with regret, with resignation, like he'd known this was coming all along. And maybe he had. Maybe this was always how it ended. The hearing the next morning was a massacre. Serena sat at the defendant's table while Ethan's lawyer tore her apart piece by piece, evidence of her connection to Damien Moretti, photos, witness statements, financial records showing the money he'd given her. Patricia fought back hard, but it wasn't enough. The judge listened, asked questions, looked at Serena like she was something dirty, and then he ruled. Given the evidence presented, and considering the minor child's best interests, I'm granting temporary full custody to the father, Ethan Vale, pending further investigation into Miss Vale's associations. The words didn't land at first. Serena just sat there, staring at the judge, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. Miss Vale, do you understand the ruling? She nodded, couldn't speak. You'll have supervised visitation rights, once per week, 2 hours, until the investigation concludes. How long will that take? Patricia asked. As long as necessary. The gavel fell. Serena's world ended. She didn't remember leaving the courtroom, didn't remember Patricia talking to her, didn't remember getting on the bus. She just found herself standing outside Noah's school at pickup time, watching through the fence as Ethan collected him. Noah saw her, waved. "Mama!" Ethan grabbed his hand and pulled him away. Noah looked back, confused. "Mama, aren't you coming?" Serena couldn't answer, couldn't move. She just watched her son disappear into Ethan's car and drive away. Then she walked home in the cold. The apartment was silent, empty. Noah's toys were scattered across the floor. His jacket hung on the hook by the door. His toothbrush sat in the bathroom. But he was gone. Serena sat on the couch and stared at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then she saw the message. "I'm sorry. D." Rage exploded through her chest. She called the number. It rang and rang. Finally, someone picked up. Not Damien, a voice she didn't recognize. "Who is this?" she demanded. "Marco. I work for Mr. Moretti." "Where is he?" "Jail. No bail. They're holding him until trial." Her stomach twisted. "Why are you texting me from his phone?" "Because he asked me to. He wanted you to know he's sorry." "Sorry?" Her voice cracked. "He destroyed my life, and he's sorry?" "He's trying to fix it." "How?" Silence. "Marco, how is he trying to fix it?" "I can't tell you that." "Why not?" "Because if you know, it'll make things worse." She laughed, cold and bitter. "Things can't get worse." "Yes, they can." The line went dead. Serena threw her phone across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. She sat there for hours, maybe days. Time stopped meaning anything. Until someone knocked on the door. She ignored it. The knocking continued, harder, more insistent. Finally, she stood and opened it. A man she'd never seen before stood in the hallway. Older, expensive suit, cold eyes. "Miss Vale? Who are you?" "My name is Vincent Calabresi. I'm an associate of Damien Moretti's." Her stomach dropped. "I don't want anything to do with—" "He asked me to deliver a message." "I don't care." "You should." Vincent held out an envelope. "This is the only way you're getting your son back." Serena stared at it. "What is it?" "Damien's insurance policy, names, locations, evidence of every illegal operation he's ever been involved in. Everything the feds need to take down the entire organization." Her breath stopped. "Why would he give me this?" "Because he's making a deal. Full immunity for you, drop charges, clean record, in exchange for his cooperation." "He's going to testify against his own people?" "He's going to burn his entire empire to the ground. For you." Tears stung her eyes. "Why?" Vincent's expression didn't change. "Because you're the only thing he cares about more than power." He handed her the envelope. Serena took it with shaking hands. "What am I supposed to do with this?" "Give it to your lawyer, let her negotiate the deal, and then you walk away. Clean, free, with your son." "And Damien?" "Goes to prison, 20 years. Maybe more." Her chest ached. "I can't." "Yes, you can. Because this is what he wants. It's the only way he can protect you now." Vincent turned and walked away. Serena stood in the doorway, holding the envelope, feeling the weight of Damien's sacrifice pressing against her ribs. She thought about Noah, about getting him back, about the life they could have without this darkness hanging over them. And she thought about Damien, sitting in a cell, giving up everything he'd built, everything he was, for her. The choice should have been easy, but it wasn't. Because somewhere between hatred and love, between fear and need, she'd stopped knowing where Damien ended and she began. And now he was asking her to let him destroy himself so she could survive. Serena walked back inside, closed the door, and opened the envelope. Inside were documents, dozens of them, dates, names, transactions, everything the FBI needed. At the bottom was a handwritten note. "I told you I'd protect you. This is how. Don't look back. D." Serena's hands shook so hard the papers scattered across the floor. She sank down beside them, surrounded by evidence that would send the man she loved to prison for the rest of his life. And she realized the terrible truth. She had to choose her son or Damien, safety or love, the future or the past. There was no middle ground, no compromise, no way to save them both. So she sat on the floor of her empty apartment, surrounded by the wreckage of a life she'd never asked for, and tried to figure out how to become the kind of person who could make that choice. Because the woman she'd been 3 months ago wouldn't have hesitated. But the woman she was now, the one who'd fallen for a monster and discovered he had a heart, didn't know how to let him go, even if keeping him meant losing everything else. The phone, the shattered one across the room, buzzed once. Serena crawled over to it. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. One new message. From Patricia. FBI wants to meet. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. This is your only chance. Don't blow it. Serena looked at the message, then at the scattered documents, then at Noah's jacket hanging by the door. And she made her decision. Serena walked into the FBI field office at 8:57 in the morning carrying the envelope that would destroy Damien Moretti. Her hands didn't shake anymore. They'd stopped somewhere around 3 a.m. when she'd finally accepted what she had to do. Now they were steady, cold, empty. Patricia met her in the lobby, her briefcase clutched against her chest like armor. You brought it? Serena nodded. Good. Listen to me. You say as little as possible. You answer their questions directly. You do not volunteer information, and you do not, under any circumstances, admit to knowing about Damien's operations before today. Understood? Understood. They rode the elevator to the 7th floor in silence. The doors opened into a hallway that smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. A young agent in a wrinkled suit led them to a conference room at the end. Inside, 2 people waited. Special Agent Rebecca Torres sat at the head of the table, mid-40s, sharp eyes, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Beside her was a man Serena didn't recognize, older, balding. His ID badge read Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Chen. Miss Vale, Torres gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Serena sat. Patricia took the seat beside her. Torres didn't waste time. You know why you're here? Yes. Damien Moretti, your relationship with him has complicated our investigation. I don't have a relationship with him. Torres smiled, thin, humorless. We have surveillance footage of him entering your apartment 43 times in the last month. We have financial records showing he gave you $5,000. We have witness statements placing you at his office, his penthouse, and multiple restaurants where he conducts business. She leaned forward. So let's not insult each other by pretending you're uninvolved. Serena's jaw tightened. What do you want? Cooperation. In exchange for what? Chen spoke for the first time. His voice was soft, dangerous. Full immunity, dropped investigation, clean record, and we'll make sure the family court judge knows you've been instrumental in taking down one of Chicago's most dangerous criminal organizations. Serena's pulse quickened. Meaning I get my son back. Meaning you have a much better chance than you do right now. She looked at Patricia. Her lawyer's expression was carefully neutral, but her eyes said one thing clearly. Take the deal. Serena reached into her bag and pulled out the envelope. She set it on the table between them. Torres picked it up, opened it. Her eyes widened slightly as she flipped through the documents. Where did you get this? She asked quietly. Damien gave it to me. When? Yesterday, through an associate. Torres looked at Chen. Something passed between them. Surprise, maybe, or respect. He's cooperating, Chen said slowly. Looks that way. Why? Serena's voice cracked. Why would he do this? Torres set down the documents. Because he knows we have him, and he's trying to minimize the damage. That's not why. Then why? Serena's throat closed. Because he's protecting me. Silence filled the room. Torres studied her for a long moment. You care about him? It wasn't a question. Serena didn't answer. Let me tell you something about Damien Moretti, Torres said. He's not a good man. He's built his empire on violence, extortion, and fear. People who cross him disappear, families get destroyed, lives get ruined, and he doesn't lose sleep over any of it. I know what he is. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you look like someone who's confused a predator for a protector. Serena's hands curled into fists. He saved me. He used you. No. Yes. Torres leaned back. Men like Damien don't save people. They collect them. They find broken, desperate women and they offer help. And then when those women are dependent, they own them. That's what he did to you. You're wrong. Am I? Then why are you here? Why are you the one handing over evidence while he sits in a cell? If he really cared about you, he would have walked away before you got hurt. Serena's chest ached. He tried. Not hard enough. The words hit like a punch, because Torres was right. Damien had known the investigation was coming, had known associating with him would destroy Serena's custody case, and he'd stayed anyway. Not because he loved her, because he was selfish, because he'd wanted her, and nothing else mattered. I need to see him, Serena said quietly. Torres frowned. That's not... I need to see him before I agree to anything. I need to hear it from him. Miss Vale, those are my terms. Patricia touched her arm. Serena. No. She looked at Torres. You want my cooperation? You want me to testify? Then let me see him. One time, 15 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Chen and Torres exchanged glances. Fine, Torres said finally, but you're not going alone. I'll be in the room, and anything he says can and will be used against him. I understand. And after you see him, you sign the immunity agreement. No more delays. Serena nodded. Torres stood. Come with me. Buebat. The Metropolitan Correctional Center smelled like disinfectant and hopelessness. Serena followed Torres through a series of locked doors, each one clanging shut behind them with a finality that made her stomach twist. They passed cells where men in orange jumpsuits stared at nothing, past guards who looked bored and exhausted, past a woman crying into a payphone. Finally, they reached a small room with a metal table and 2 chairs. Sit, Torres said. He'll be here in a minute. Serena sat, her heart hammered against her ribs. The door opened. Damien walked in. He wore an orange jumpsuit that hung loose on his frame. His hands were cuffed in front of him. His face was bruised, a black eye, split lip, dried blood crusted at his hairline. Serena's breath stopped. What happened to you? She whispered. Doesn't matter. His voice was rough, tired. A guard pushed him into the chair across from her and stepped back. Torres stood by the door, arms crossed. Damien's eyes locked on Serena's. You shouldn't be here. I brought your evidence to the FBI. Something flickered in his expression. Good. Good? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me why. Why you gave them everything. Why you're destroying yourself. Damien's jaw tightened. You know why. Say it. Serena, say it. Her voice echoed off the concrete walls. Damien was silent for a long moment. Then he leaned forward, his cuffed hands resting on the table between them. Because I love you, he said quietly, and this is the only way I can protect you. Tears burned her eyes. By going to prison? Yes. For 20 years? If that's what it takes. That's not protection, that's suicide. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Maybe. I don't want this. It's not about what you want. It's about what you need. And you need your son. You need your life back, and you can't have any of that with me in it. So you're just giving up? I'm letting go. There's a difference. Serena's hands shook. What if I don't want you to let go? Then you're being selfish. Maybe I am. Damien's eyes darkened. Serena, listen to me. I've done terrible things, things you don't even know about. And someday, if I don't end this now, those things are going to touch you. They're going to touch Noah. And I can't let that happen. You should have thought about that before you came into my life. I know. You should have walked away when you had the chance. I know that too. Then why didn't you? His voice dropped. Because I'm weak. Because for the first time in my life, I met someone who looked at me like I was worth saving, and I couldn't let that go. A tear slipped down her cheek. You are worth saving. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Serena, you made me breakfast. You drove my son to school. You fixed things in my apartment without being asked. You remembered his favorite pancake shape. Her voice broke. You made me feel safe for the first time in years, and that's not nothing. Damien's expression cracked. It's not enough. It is for me. Then you're a fool. The word hung between them. Serena stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I hate you. I know. I hate that you made me need you. I know. And I hate that you're doing this, that you're taking the choice away from me. Damien stood too. The guard stepped forward, but Damien ignored him. He looked at Serena with eyes that held more pain than she'd ever seen. If I gave you the choice, he said quietly, you'd choose wrong. You'd choose me. And I can't let you do that. Why not? Because I love you too much to watch you destroy yourself. Serena's chest ached. Then what am I supposed to do? Sign the immunity agreement, get Noah back, live your life, and forget I exist. I can't. Yes, you can. Damien, time's up, Torres said from the doorway. The guard grabbed Damien's arm. Wait, Serena said, please, just one more minute. No. Damien's voice was firm, final. We're done. They pulled him toward the door. Damien! He stopped, looked back. I won't forget you, she whispered. His expression softened, just for a second. Yes, you will. Then he was gone. Serena stood there staring at the empty chair, feeling like someone had ripped her heart out and left a hole. Torres touched her shoulder. Come on, let's get you out of here. Must. Serena signed the immunity agreement that afternoon. Patricia read through every page explaining the terms, but Serena barely heard her. She just signed, over and over, her name in black ink on white paper. When it was done, Chen shook her hand. You did the right thing. Serena didn't respond. Torres walked her to the elevator. We'll need you to testify at trial, probably 6 months from now. Can you do that? Yes? Good. And Miss Vale? For what it's worth, I think Damien really does care about you, but that doesn't change what he is. Remember that. The elevator doors opened. Serena stepped inside. As the doors closed, she caught her reflection in the polished steel. She looked like a stranger, hollow, empty, used up. She rode down to the lobby and stepped out into the cold December afternoon. Her phone buzzed. Patricia, family court hearing scheduled for Monday. We'll petition for immediate custody restoration. With the immunity deal, we have a strong case. Stay strong. Serena should have felt relief, should have felt hope. She felt nothing. She walked to the bus stop, sat down, and stared at the street. A black sedan pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down. Vincent Calabrese looked out. Get in. Serena didn't move. Why? Because there's something you need to know, and it can't wait. I'm done with all of this. No, you're not. Something in his voice made her stomach drop. She stood and got in the car. Vincent drove in silence for several blocks. Then he pulled into an empty parking garage and stopped. What's going on? Serena asked. Damien didn't tell you everything. Her pulse quickened. About what? About why he's cooperating. He said it's to protect me. That's part of it, but there's more. Vincent pulled out his phone and handed it to her. On the screen was a photo, a surveillance image, grainy, time-stamped 2 days ago. It showed Ethan, outside a warehouse, talking to a man Serena didn't recognize. Who is that? She asked. Luca Ferretti, Damien's former second-in-command. I don't understand. Vincent's expression was grim. Luca's the one who tipped off the feds about Damien. He's been planning a coup for months, wants to take over the organization. And your ex-husband? He's been helping him. Serena's blood turned to ice. Why would Ethan? Because Luca promised him something, money, protection, and leverage to destroy you in court. That's why he filed the emergency motion. Exactly. Ethan's been working with Luca since before Damien even met you. They've been feeding information to the FBI, building a case, waiting for the right moment to strike. Serena's hands shook. Does Damien know? He figured it out 2 weeks ago. That's why he gave you the evidence. Because if he goes down, Luca goes down too, and your ex-husband loses his protection. But Damien's still going to prison. Yes. For 20 years. Maybe less if his cooperation is valuable enough. But yes, he's sacrificing himself to take out the people who want to hurt you. Serena couldn't breathe. Why didn't he tell me? Because he knew you'd try to stop him. I would have. I know. But Serena, there's something else. Vincent's voice dropped. Luca knows you have the evidence, and he's not going to let you testify. Her stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means you're in danger, real danger. Luca's already put out a contract. A contract, she repeated numbly. On you and your son. The words didn't register at first, then they hit like a freight train. Noah, she whispered. He's at your ex-husband's house right now. Luca's men know where he is. Serena's vision tunneled. We have to get him, now. I know, that's why I'm here. She grabbed Vincent's arm. If anything happens to him, nothing's going to happen, but we need to move fast. Vincent pulled out of the parking garage and drove toward the suburbs. Serena called Ethan. It rang 6 times before going to voicemail. She tried again. Voicemail. Something's wrong, she said. I know. Vincent drove faster. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to Ethan's house. A 2-story colonial in a quiet neighborhood. Christmas lights hung from the eaves. A wreath on the front door. It looked normal. Too normal. Serena jumped out of the car before Vincent could stop her. She ran to the front door and pounded on it. Ethan, open the door! No answer. She tried the handle. Locked. Vincent appeared beside her. Move! He kicked the door. Once, twice, it splintered open. Serena ran inside. The house was silent. Too silent. Noah! She screamed. Noah! Where are you? Vincent checked the living room, the kitchen. Clear. Serena ran upstairs, checked the bedrooms, the bathroom. Empty. She came back downstairs, her heart slamming against her ribs. They're gone, she whispered. Vincent's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His expression went dark. What? Serena demanded. What is it? He turned the phone toward her. It was a text from an unknown number. Looking for your son? Come to the warehouse on South Morgan, alone. You have 1 hour, or he disappears. Below the text was a photo. Noah, sitting in a dark room, his hands bound, his face streaked with tears. Serena's world exploded. We call the FBI, Vincent said. Right now. No. Serena, they said come alone. If I bring the FBI, they'll kill him. And if you go alone, they'll kill you both. I don't care. Vincent grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. This is a trap. Luca's going to use you to get to Damien, and if you walk in there, you're dead. Then I'm dead. Her voice was steel. But I'm not letting them hurt my son. There has to be another way. There isn't. She pulled away from him and walked toward the car. Vincent followed. At least let me come with you. No. If they see you, they'll kill Noah immediately. You need backup. Then call someone. But I'm going, now. She got in the car. Vincent hesitated. Then he got in the driver's seat and started the engine. This is suicide, he said. I know. They drove through the city in silence. The streets were empty, dark. The warehouse district looked abandoned. Vincent pulled up 2 blocks from the address. I'm calling Damien's people, he said. They'll get here as fast as they can. It won't be fast enough. Serena, thank you for everything. She got out of the car. Vincent grabbed her wrist. If you die, Damien will burn this city to the ground. Good. She pulled free and walked toward the warehouse. The building loomed ahead. Broken windows, rusted metal siding, a single light burning in a window on the 2nd floor. Serena's pulse roared in her ears. She thought about Noah, about his laugh, his gap-toothed smile, the way he held her hand when he was scared. She thought about Damien, sitting in a cell, sacrificing everything, and she walked through the warehouse door. Inside, the air smelled like oil and rust. Machinery sat covered in tarps. Shadows stretched across the concrete floor. Hello? She called. Her voice echoed. Footsteps sounded from above. A man appeared at the top of a metal staircase. Tall, dark hair, cold eyes. Luca Ferretti. Miss Vale. His voice was smooth, cultured. I'm glad you came. Where's my son? Safe, for now. Let me see him. Luca smiled. Of course. He gestured behind him. Two men dragged Noah out of a doorway. He was crying, terrified. When he saw Serena, he screamed, "Mama! Noah!" Serena lunged forward. One of Luca's men stepped in front of her, gun raised. She froze. "Not yet," Luca said. "First, we talk." "About what?" "About Damian Moretti and the evidence you gave the FBI." Serena's jaw clenched. "I don't have it anymore." "I know, but you know what's in it. Names, locations, operations, and I need to know exactly what Damian gave them." "Why?" "So I can protect my interests." "You mean so you can run?" Luca's smile widened. "Smart girl." "Yes. I need to know how much time I have before the feds come for me. And you're going to tell me. And if I don't?" He nodded to one of his men. The man pressed a gun to Noah's head. Serena's world stopped. "No!" she screamed. "Don't! Please!" "Then talk." Her breath came in ragged gasps. Okay. I'll tell you everything. Just don't hurt him." "Start talking." Serena's mind raced. She needed time, needed to stall until Vincent's backup arrived. There were financial records, she said, offshore accounts, shell companies, money laundering operations in Miami, New York, and Los Angeles. What else? Witness statements from people Damian worked with, names of corrupt officials on his payroll. Who? I don't remember all of them. A judge, some cops, city council members. Luca's eyes narrowed. "You're lying." "I'm not." "Yes, you are. Because Damian wouldn't have given up those names, not without leverage." He stepped closer. "What did he really give them, Serena?" Her mouth went dry. Luca grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at him. "Tell me, or I kill your son. Right now, in front of you." Tears streamed down her face. "He gave them everything. Every operation, every contact, every piece of evidence you could ever want. And by now the FBI has already moved. Your people are already being arrested. It's over, Luca. You lost." His expression went dead. "Then so did you." He pulled out a gun, pointed it at Noah. "No!" Serena threw herself forward. The gunshot was deafening. But the bullet didn't hit Noah. It hit one of Luca's men. He dropped. Dead. Confusion erupted. More gunshots, from outside, from above. Men poured through the warehouse doors, Damian's men, armed, moving like soldiers. Luca spun, firing wildly. Serena lunged for Noah, grabbed him, pulled him down behind a metal crate. "It's okay, baby. It's okay. I've got you." Noah sobbed against her chest. Gunfire exploded around them, shouting. The sound of bodies hitting the floor. Serena covered Noah's ears and squeezed her eyes shut. It lasted forever. Or maybe just seconds. Finally, silence. Serena looked up. Luca was on the ground, blood pooling beneath him, his eyes staring at nothing. Vincent appeared beside her. "Are you hit?" "No." "The boy?" She checked Noah frantically. No blood, no injuries, just terror. "He's okay." Vincent exhaled. "We need to go. Now. Before the cops show up." "Wait, where's... He's still in jail, but he sent us. He knew this would happen." Serena's chest ached. Of course he knew. Damian had planned this. All of it. Had put his people in place to protect her even when he couldn't. Vincent helped her stand. Led her and Noah out of the warehouse. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. A car waited. Vincent pushed them inside. "Where are we going?" Serena asked. "Somewhere safe." "For how long?" Vincent didn't answer, because they both knew the truth. This wasn't over. Not while Damian was still in prison. Not while the trial loomed ahead. Not while the people who wanted her dead were still out there. Serena held Noah close as the car sped through the dark streets. She'd gotten him back. But she'd lost everything else. And somewhere in a cell downtown, Damian Moretti sat alone, knowing he'd saved her life. And destroyed his own in the process. The safe house was 40 miles outside Chicago, buried in farmland where winter had turned everything gray and lifeless. A 2-story cabin surrounded by frozen fields and skeletal trees. No neighbors for miles. Just wind and silence and the weight of everything that had happened. Serena sat on the couch with Noah curled against her chest, his breathing finally steady after crying himself to sleep. Her hand moved through his hair in slow, repetitive strokes. She hadn't stopped touching him since they'd left the warehouse. Couldn't stop. Like if she let go for even a second, someone would rip him away again. Vincent stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low Italian. He'd been making calls for the past hour, coordinating, cleaning up, making sure the warehouse scene looked like a gang dispute instead of a rescue operation. When he finally hung up, he turned to Serena. The FBI's at the warehouse now. They found Luca's body. 3 of his men. They're calling it internal conflict. What about Ethan? Vincent's jaw tightened. They found him too, in a car 2 blocks away. Single gunshot to the head. Serena should have felt something. Horror, grief, relief. She felt nothing. Luca killed him, Vincent continued. Probably right before you arrived, tied up loose ends. So Noah's father is dead? Yes. She looked down at her son. His face was peaceful now, innocent. He had no idea yet that his world had just been rewritten. What happens now? She asked quietly. You wait. The immunity deal protects you. The FBI will want your testimony at trial, but you're not in danger anymore. Luca's organization is collapsing. Without him, there's no structure, no leadership. It's over. And Damien? Vincent's expression darkened. He goes to trial in 6 months. With his cooperation, he's looking at 10 to 15 years instead of 20, maybe less with good behavior. Serena's chest tightened. Can I see him? Not yet. He's still in federal custody. Once the trial preparation starts, they might allow supervised visits, but Serena... Vincent stepped closer. He doesn't want you there. I don't care what he wants. He's trying to protect you by staying away. He's trying to punish himself. Maybe both. Serena was silent for a long moment. Then she said, Tell him something for me. What? Tell him I'm not giving up on him, even if he's given up on himself. Vincent studied her. You really love him. It wasn't a question. Yes, she whispered. I do. Then you're braver than I thought. Or more foolish. Probably both. Vincent almost smiled. I'll tell him, but don't expect it to change anything. Damien's made his choice. So have I. 3 months passed like a slow bleed. Serena and Noah stayed at the safe house through Christmas, through New Year's, through gray weeks where the world outside felt like it belonged to someone else. Patricia handled everything. The custody case collapsed the moment Ethan died. With no other family stepping forward, Noah was returned to Serena's care permanently. The FBI investigation into her involvement cleared within weeks. The immunity deal held, and slowly, impossibly, life began to feel almost normal again. Almost. Because every night, Serena lay awake thinking about Damien, about him sitting in a cell, about the trial that was coming, about the years stretching ahead where he'd be locked away and she'd be free. It didn't feel like freedom. It felt like amputation. In late February, Patricia called. The trial's been moved up, next month, and Damien's lawyer wants to meet with you. Serena's pulse quickened. Why? Because you're one of the key witnesses. Your testimony could make or break the prosecution's case. They need to prep you. When? Tomorrow. Downtown. Federal courthouse. Serena closed her eyes. Okay. Serena, there's something else. Damien's going to be there. In the room. You'll see him. Her breath caught. He agreed to that. He doesn't have a choice. It's part of the preparation process. After the call ended, Serena sat at the kitchen table and stared at her hands. 3 months. She hadn't seen him in 3 months. Hadn't heard his voice, hadn't touched him. Tomorrow, she would. And she had no idea what she was going to say. The federal courthouse was a fortress of marble and metal detectors. Serena passed through security, was escorted to the 8th floor, and led into a conference room that smelled like stale coffee and legal documents. Patricia was already there. So were 2 federal prosecutors she didn't recognize. And sitting at the far end of the table, flanked by 2 lawyers and wearing an orange jumpsuit with his hands cuffed in front of him, was Damien. He looked thinner, older. The bruises were gone, but something else had replaced them, a hollowness in his eyes that made Serena's chest ache. When he saw her, his expression didn't change, but his hands tightened around the edge of the table. Miss Vale? One of the prosecutors gestured to a chair. Please sit. Serena sat across from Damien. The table between them felt like an ocean. The lead prosecutor, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair, opened a folder. We're here to prepare your testimony. You'll be called as a witness for the prosecution. Your role is to establish Mr. Moretti's pattern of behavior, his interactions with you, and the financial assistance he provided. I understand. Good. Let's start with how you met. For the next hour, Serena answered questions, walked them through every interaction, every moment, every piece of evidence. Damien sat silent the entire time, watching her, his jaw tight, his eyes unreadable. Finally, the prosecutors left to review notes. Patricia excused herself to make a phone call, and for the first time in 3 months, Serena and Damien were alone. The silence was suffocating. You look good, Damien said finally. His voice was rough, like he hadn't used it in days. You look terrible. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. Prison will do that. So will guilt. Maybe. Serena leaned forward. Why won't you let me visit you? Because there's no point. That's not an answer. Damien's jaw tightened. What do you want me to say, Serena? That I miss you. That I think about you every night. That sitting in that cell is easier when I know you're safe. His voice dropped. Because all of that's true. But it doesn't change anything. It changes everything. No, it doesn't. I'm going to prison for 10 years, minimum. By the time I get out, Noah will be a teenager. You'll have moved on, built a life, and I'll be... He stopped. I'll be nothing. You're not nothing. Yes, I am. Damien, I'm a criminal, Serena, a murderer, a man who built an empire on blood. And the only good thing I've ever done is walk away from you before I destroyed you completely. Her eyes burned. You didn't destroy me. You saved me. I put you in danger, and then you got me out. By sacrificing everything. Yes, her voice cracked. You sacrificed everything. For me, for Noah. And now you're sitting here acting like that doesn't matter, like I'm supposed to just forget you and move on. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. I can't. Why not? Because I love you. The words echoed in the empty room. Damien's expression cracked. Don't. Why? Because it makes this harder? Yes. Good. It should be hard. Because what you're asking me to do, to just let you go, is the hardest thing I've ever had to face. Damien stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. He walked to the window, his cuffed hands hanging in front of him. I'm not asking you to let me go, he said quietly. I'm begging you. Why? Because if you hold on, you'll waste the best years of your life waiting for someone who doesn't deserve it. Serena stood and walked toward him, stopped a foot away, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him. What if I want to waste them? He turned, looked down at her. Then you're a fool. I've been called worse. Something shifted in his eyes. Pain, longing, desperation. Serena, he whispered, please, don't make this harder than it already is. Why? You think walking away will make it easier? No, but it'll make it right. There's nothing right about this. There's nothing right about us. She reached up and touched his face. He flinched but didn't pull away. Then let me be wrong, she said. Let me be the idiot who loves a man everyone says I should hate. Let me be the one who waits. Because I'm going to wait anyway, Damien, whether you want me to or not. His hand came up, slowly, carefully, and covered hers. 10 years. I know. That's a lifetime. Then we'll make it count. He closed his eyes. You deserve better. I don't want better. I want you. Damien's breath shuddered. I can't give you anything. No future, no promises. Nothing. You already gave me everything that matters. What? She stepped closer, her forehead pressing against his chest. You gave me hope. You gave me strength. You gave me a reason to fight. And that's more than anyone else has ever given me. His arms came around her, cuffed hands resting against her back, holding her like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to the world. I don't deserve you, he murmured into her hair. I don't care. They stood like that until the door opened and Patricia walked back in. She stopped. Oh, I'm sorry. Serena pulled back slowly. Damien's hands dropped. It's fine, Serena said. We're done. But as she walked back to her chair, she glanced at Damien one more time. He was watching her with an expression she'd never seen before. Not resignation, not defeat, hope. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Serena testified on day 7. She sat in the witness box and answered every question, told the truth, all of it. How Damien had helped her, protected her, given her money, and how he'd turned over everything to the FBI to keep her safe. The defense tried to paint her as a victim manipulated by a predator. The prosecution tried to paint her as proof of Damien's humanity. Serena just told them what she knew, that Damien Moretti was dangerous and kind and broken and whole, that he was all of those things at once, and that she loved him anyway. When the verdict came in, Damien was found guilty on multiple counts: racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy. The judge sentenced him to 12 years. With time served and good behavior, he'd be eligible for parole in 8. Serena sat in the gallery and watched them lead him away in chains. He looked back once. Their eyes met, and for the first time in months, he smiled. It was small, broken, but real. And it was enough. All right. 2 years later, spring arrived in Chicago with a violence that felt like resurrection. Serena stood outside Bella Rosa Steakhouse, her coat pulled tight against the wind, watching people stream in and out of the restaurant where everything had started. She hadn't worked there in over a year. She'd gone back to school, finished her degree, started working as an architectural assistant at a firm downtown. The pay was decent, the hours manageable, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't drowning. Noah was 7 now, thriving. He asked about Damien sometimes. Not often, but enough that Serena knew he remembered. She told him the truth, that Damien was away, that he'd made mistakes, but that he'd also saved them. And someday, he'd come home. Serena visited Damien every month. The prison was 3 hours away, but she made the drive, sat across from him in a visitation room that smelled like industrial cleaner and desperation. And they talked about Noah's soccer games, about her job, about nothing and everything. He looked better now, stronger. The hollowness in his eyes had faded into something quieter, something that looked almost like peace. "You didn't have to come," he said during her last visit. "I know. It's a long drive." "I don't mind." He studied her. "You're different." "How?" "Lighter. Like you're not carrying the weight of the world anymore." She smiled. "I learned from the best." His expression softened. "Noah doing okay?" "He's good. He scored 2 goals last week. Wouldn't stop talking about it for 3 days. Good kid." "The best." Silence stretched between them. Comfortable now. Familiar. "Serena," Damien said quietly, "you don't have to keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Waiting for me." She reached across the table and took his hand. The guard didn't stop her. "I'm not waiting. I'm living. And you're part of that life. Whether you're here or there, that doesn't change. 8 years is a long time. Then it's a good thing I'm patient." Damien's grip tightened. "What if you meet someone else?" "I won't." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." "Serena, Damien." She leaned forward. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm not giving up. I'm not moving on. So you can either accept that and stop trying to push me away, or you can waste the next 6 years fighting something that's already decided." He stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. Quiet, rough, real. "You're stubborn." "I learned from the best," she said again. His smile widened. "Yeah, you did." 6 years later, on a cold morning in March, Serena stood outside the Federal Correctional Facility with Noah beside her. Noah was 13 now, taller, his voice cracking, his face losing the softness of childhood. "Are you nervous?" Serena asked. "A little." "He's nervous too." "How do you know?" "Because I know him." The doors opened. Damien Moretti walked out. He wore jeans and a gray Henley. No cuffs, no guards. Just a man stepping into sunlight for the first time in 8 years. He stopped when he saw them. For a moment, no one moved. Then Noah ran. Damien caught him, pulled him close. His eyes squeezed shut as he held the boy who'd been 5 years old when they'd met and was now almost a teenager. "You got tall," Damien said roughly. "You got old," Noah shot back. Damien laughed. Actually, laughed. "Yeah, I did." Serena walked toward them slowly. When she reached Damien, he opened one arm. She stepped into it. They stood like that, the three of them, in the parking lot of a prison, while traffic rushed past and the world kept spinning. "Welcome home," Serena whispered. Damien's arm tightened around her. "I don't have a home." "Yes, you do." She pulled back and looked up at him. His face was older, lines carved deeper, gray streaking through his hair. But his eyes, those dark, dangerous eyes, were clear. "We're your home," she said. "We've been waiting." Damien's jaw worked. "I don't deserve this." "Probably not, but you're getting it anyway." He cupped her face in his hands, rough, calloused, gentle. "I love you." "I know. I'm never letting you go again." "Good." He kissed her, right there, in the parking lot, with Noah groaning beside them and the sun breaking through the clouds. And for the first time in 8 years, Damien Moretti felt like he could breathe. 3 months later, Serena stood on the balcony of a small apartment overlooking Lake Michigan. The city stretched out below, lights flickering, life humming, endless. Damien stepped out behind her, handing her a mug of coffee. "You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Nightmares?" "No, just thinking." He leaned against the railing beside her. "About?" "Everything. How we got here, how close we came to losing it all." "But we didn't." "No, we didn't." He reached for her hand. She took it. "Do you regret it?" he asked quietly. "Waiting for me?" Serena looked at him, at the man who'd walked into her life on the worst night of hers, who'd protected her, destroyed himself, and clawed his way back. Not for a second. Damien pulled her close, his chin resting on top of her head. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life making this up to you." "You don't have to." "I know, but I'm going to anyway." She smiled against his chest. "Then I guess I'll let you." Inside, Noah called out, "Are we still getting breakfast or what?" Damien laughed. "Coming." They walked back inside together, into the small apartment that felt more like home than anywhere else ever had. Because home wasn't about walls or addresses, it was about the people who stayed, who fought, who refused to give up even when the world said they should. And Serena Vale had learned something over the past 8 years, that love wasn't clean, wasn't easy, wasn't safe, but it was real. And real was worth fighting for, even when the fight cost everything, especially then. Years later, long after the scars had faded and the memories had softened, Serena would look back on that cold November night in Bella Rosa Steakhouse and marvel at how one desperate moment had rewritten her entire life, how grabbing a stranger's hand had led to this, to mornings with coffee and laughter, to Noah graduating high school with Damien in the audience, to quiet evenings where she and Damien sat on the balcony and watched the city breathe. It hadn't been easy. The first year after his release was brutal, adjusting, healing, learning to exist in a world that had moved on without him, but they'd done it, together, because that's what love was. Not the fairy tale, not the fantasy, but the choice to stay, to rebuild, to fight for something worth keeping. And on a warm evening in June, standing in front of a handful of friends in a courthouse that smelled like old paper and promises, Serena Vale became Serena Moretti. No big ceremony, no white dress, no crowd, just her, Damien, Noah, and a judge who smiled when Damien kissed his bride. "You sure about this?" Damien whispered against her lips. "More sure than I've ever been about anything. Even after everything?" "Especially after everything." He smiled, that rare, devastating smile that had always belonged only to her. "Then let's go home." And they did. To the life they'd built from ashes, to the family they'd fought to protect, to the future they'd earned one brutal, beautiful choice at a time. Because Damien Moretti had once ruled half of Chicago with fear. But in the end, the only kingdom that mattered was the one he'd found in a small apartment with a woman who'd grabbed his hand and refused to let go. And that kingdom, messy and broken and fiercely, impossibly real, was the only empire worth dying for, or living for. And they chose to live.